Story 1. I attended a concert at a venue that did not allow re-entry once inside. I told the merchandise representative I wanted to buy a poster but did not want to hold it all night. He suggested, just say you have asthma and need your inhaler. If it's a medical issue, they cannot ask further questions. I was hesitant because I really did not want to risk being denied re-entry, but he insisted, come with me. He approached the door and informed security, this person has asthma. He needs to get his inhaler. I ran to my car to retrieve the poster, then walked back to the side entrance. Security stopped me, and I explained, I was just inside. They responded, let him go. I still feel a bit guilty about it, but it definitely worked. I gave the merchandise representative a fist bump. Story 2. Yesterday, I went to the pharmacy known for its long receipts filled with coupons. One coupon was for $2 off any item, so I got a $2 bottle of water, and they let me take it for free. Felt amazing. Story 3. I install windows and trim them out. My work generates scrap boards that are too short to fit on our limited lumber rack. I pull them from the dumpster and bring them home because free wood is valuable. When we are working in my area, I trim the windows using materials from my garage. My company reimburses me based on linear feet, allowing me to acquire full-length boards at no cost. Story 4. Getting a free sandwich every time I do the 2-minute fast food receipt review, even on my free sandwich. I know what they pay for ingredients and my finished meal costs less. Am I working for my $3 discount? Is my review really worth that? Or are the masses subsidizing my meal, and the system would collapse if everyone were as frugal as I am? Who knows? Who cares? I feel like I've killed a virtual pet. That's not animal cruelty. This isn't theft. It just doesn't feel like it's supposed to be this way. Story 5. Paying with a debit card for purchases around 25 cents means that retailers like Walmart will incur losses on the transaction. Story 6. Pay debts you are disputing through the bank's automatic check feature. I was arguing with a health insurance company over a charge for intravenous drugs. I knew they had overcharged me by about $300, but it would take a while to sort it out. The total amount was close to $3,000. So, I set up a check to be sent through my bank every 3 days until the amount was paid off. After receiving about a month's worth of checks, they called me and said they had written off the debt and asked me not to send any more checks because it costs them more to process them than to take the money. As long as you make a regular payment, they cannot report you to the credit bureau, and it will not hurt your credit. The automatic check feature is free through my bank, so I did not even have to pay for postage. They automatically generate the check and send it to the recipient. Story 7. The range of unusual deductions available for independent contractors and businesses can be significant. For instance, as a DoorDash driver, purchasing a phone charger for my car is technically deductible since it is considered a supply necessary for my job, as it is primarily used for that purpose. Story 8. Using free trials and then canceling right before payment always feels like you're getting away with something, even though it's exactly what they want you to do. Story 9. Libraries. It feels like I am stealing when I borrow a book or movie and take my time with it before returning it. Story 10. I was told by my high school professor, the best way to get out of jury duty is to say I believe speeding should be punishable by death. Story 11. Not caring about what other people think of you is incredibly freeing. You would be surprised by how liberating it can be to let go of others' opinions. Story 12. Refusing to let store workers check your receipts and purchases is only acceptable if you have signed a contract with them. Story 13. Using a mix of merchandise coupons with store-specific coupons, along with rewards points and cashback applications, I was able to obtain expensive items for little to no cost. For example, I once acquired $30 worth of hair products for just $1 by stacking coupons. Story 14. Wearing a safety vest and carrying a clipboard to access certain areas is generally legal. It is not your responsibility if you are not informed that entry is prohibited. Story 15. Exiting the motorway junction, navigating the roundabout, and rejoining the road while avoiding about 20 minutes of traffic congestion. Story 16. Travel hacking is exciting, I appreciate how credit card companies are subsidizing my travel hobby. I will be traveling to Poland in business class in just 5 weeks for only a couple of $100 out of pocket. Story 17. I am in the UK. Driving in the bus lane when it is not designated for buses is an issue. The road near me reserves a whole lane for buses from 16 to 1800 hours. I drive home from work at about 15:45 in the bus lane, past miles of queuing traffic. Story 18. Sloppy steaks. They would say, no sloppy steaks, but they couldn't stop you from ordering a steak and a glass of water. Before you knew it, we were pouring that water on those steaks. The waiters were coming to try to snatch them up. We had to eat as fast as we could. Oh, I miss those nights. Story 19. I want to start by mentioning my job as a school bus driver. I overheard a conversation that pertains to this topic. Your sister cannot get pregnant. Story 20. If you were checking out at a Smith's or Kroger traditional checkout line, not self-checkout, and you don't have their rewards card, the cashier will often scan one at their register to get you any applicable discounts. This is especially dear to my heart since about 10 years ago I was at a Smith's and finally decided to sign up for a rewards card. The only strange thing was that the phone number and email I provided at the time never seemed to work. I couldn't actually complete an online account with the information I gave them. For some reason, they gave me 2 small scannable keychains and only 1 regular-sized card. I quickly realized that the other card somehow managed to become the backup card some cashiers use to get people free discounts. 10 years later, I still consistently earn between 100 to 300 free fuel points a month. I occasionally buy a small item from Kroger just to check my points balance on the receipt to see if I can save some money at their gas stations. Every once in a while, that other card goes dormant for a while, but it has consistently saved me a good amount of money on fuel. I have a photocopied version of my only card's scannable barcode to use at the fuel pumps, while the original sits safely in my filing cabinet in case I need to make a new copy. Story 21. Not really a loophole, but when you exit a retail business, you are not obligated to stop and allow an employee to check your items and receipt. Even a police officer cannot search you without probable cause. You can simply walk past the person, and there is nothing they can do. The only exception to this is Costco. It is stated in the contract you signed when you became a member that you agree to let the door person check your items. Story 22. Ordering no ice at Starbucks and asking for a cup of ice on the side results in your cup being filled to the top without any extra charge. This may not be effective for espresso drinks, but for iced coffee, cold brew, and refreshers, you essentially receive double the drink for free. Story 23. Go to your bank and ask what vehicles they have in impound. Banks do not care who is paying the loan on a vehicle or who originally started the loan, as long as it is getting paid. If someone took a loan on a $50,000 car, paid half of it off, and fell behind on payments leading to repossession, you can take over the payments and acquire a $50,000 vehicle with a significant head start. It is as if a random stranger was nice enough to pay off half your car debt. This also applies to mortgages. Banks do not care. They simply want their money back. Story 24. Most states have laws that require a licensed driver to be in the front passenger seat when a driver with a learner's permit is operating the vehicle. There is no requirement for the licensed driver to be sober. Story 25. Right now, Home Depot is running a Buy More, Save More promotion on Milwaukee tools. You can purchase them online and choose between 2 separate stores for pickup. You can retrieve the tools you want from one store and cancel the unwanted tools at the other store. You will receive a refund for the canceled tools while still benefiting from the discount on the tools you do decide to keep. Story 26. As I reach middle age, I notice things that feel like they should be illegal but aren't. Backdoor Roth individual retirement account contributions, selling certain stocks at a loss for tax write-off purposes, and then buying the stocks back. A lot of financial practices seem questionable but are somehow legal. Story 27. Driving in a bus lane when it isn't in operation is allowed. For example, if the bus lane is active from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., you can drive in it at 12 p.m. completely legally. You can easily pass by a lot of traffic because many drivers are afraid of being caught or do not bother to read the signs. Story 28. Long-term capital gains tax rates. You can argue about the fairness of taxing wealth, but compounding is an exponential function. Once you have sufficient capital, the ability to defer taxes indefinitely on the exponential growth of wealth is a significant advantage. Story 29. Obfuscating the ownership of American companies through the British Virgin Islands or Grand Cayman to avoid regulations against foreign ownership of equity in companies. Story 30. Running from the police before the lights turn on. I have fled when I noticed an officer was about to be on my tail more than once, to be honest. Story 31. Buying tax-lien properties involves paying the back taxes owed on a property, which can be just a few $1,000s. If the owner does not settle the debt after a certain period, you may own the property. Story 32. Weed is illegal in North Carolina. Tetrahydrocannabinolic acid is legal. Raleigh has full THCA dispensaries. I feel like a criminal when I go into one. Story 33. Medical bags are allowed almost anywhere. I put an epinephrine autoinjector and a variety of small items for my children, such as snacks or other items I prefer not to carry separately. Nothing has been removed from the bag. Just a quick glance is taken to ensure it is recognized as a medical bag. Story 34. DoorDash and other delivery services often mishandle my orders. If an entire item isn't missing, they might offer a minimal partial refund, even though I did not receive the food I ordered, which forces me to pay for food I did not request. For example, I could order a cheeseburger with onion rings, bacon, and barbecue sauce, but only receive a plain cheeseburger. They would argue that since it was just missing a few toppings, I would receive only a small refund. This essentially means I pay full price for an item I did not even order. In another instance, I might order a pizza with pepperoni and jalapenos, but it arrives with only jalapenos. I would be given a $2.50 refund for the missing topping, leaving me with a pizza I did not order. To address this issue, instead of stating that my bacon cheeseburger was missing toppings, I would clarify that the entire item was missing. I would explain that I received a burger, but not the specific burger I ordered, which is not dishonest. My bacon cheeseburger was completely missing, and I ended up with someone else's burger. The same applies to the pizza. It wasn't simply missing a topping. I ordered one type of pizza and received something entirely different. This approach provides a different perspective and is essential because if you receive the wrong item, you are entitled to a full refund. If an item is missing, the compensation is often minimal and you are left with food you did not request. Story 35. Until recently, signing up for Social Security with a spousal benefit, canceling it, and allowing your spouse to continue receiving the spousal benefit with no penalty was possible. Story 36. In the United States, you can take out a short-term disability insurance policy just before or while pregnant, and then file a claim for pregnancy-related benefits. It was not illegal in 2015 when we did it. Story 37. Stepped-up basis tax loophole allows heirs to inherit assets at their fair market value at the time of death, effectively avoiding capital gains taxes on appreciation that occurred during the deceased's ownership. How it works. If someone buys stock for $100 and it's worth $1,000 at their death, the heir's cost basis is $1,000, not $100. If the heir then sells the stock for $1,000, they owe no capital gains tax because they are not considered to have made a profit. Why it's a loophole? This rule allows wealth to be passed down to heirs without paying taxes on the accumulated capital gains, potentially benefiting the wealthy who hold significant unrealized capital gains. Story 38. Run for the office of the President of the United States, become the president, and then commit crimes. Alternatively, commit crimes and become president. Either way, there is presidential immunity. Story 39. Allowing oil sprays that carry a zero-calorie label when, in reality, they do not, is a loophole by the Food and Drug Administration. Who allowed this? Story 40. Many knives are illegal in California, and most types have blade length limits except for folding knives. Therefore, I keep a Spanish navaja in my car, which is essentially like a folding short sword. Story 41. I will not answer any questions about my medical history unless it is pertinent to the medical information that I chose to disclose in order to receive the necessary accommodations. Under the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act laws, non-government employers are prohibited from asking you for your medical history unless you have been diagnosed with any condition or disorder that will significantly prevent you from doing your job. In my case, I have epilepsy, and I disclosed it along with the accommodations I needed. My employer told me that they needed a doctor's note or letter confirming the diagnosis in order to approve it, and I supplied that. However, when a senior executive asked me for 1 year's worth of health records, I explained, "That's not pertinent to the letter that I sent in or the diagnosis that required the accommodation letter. You cannot ask me for a year's worth of records, and if you ask again, I will consult a HIPAA lawyer immediately." Story 42. I live in a small town. The British Columbia driver's test includes a section on one-way streets, but we have no one-way streets in our town. I passed my road test. Story 43. It's a small thing, and I've been told I'm too tightly wound because of it, but driving through red lights in a funeral procession really bothers me. Story 44. Whenever we go to dinner somewhere new, my wife tells them it is one of our birthdays or our anniversary. Often they give us complimentary drinks or dessert. Story 45. Buying THCA at a gas station is just cannabis labeled differently due to a significant loophole in hemp legislation. It seems to have become popular overnight. Dispensaries are opening everywhere, so I no longer have to drive to Michigan. Story 46. For my fellow UK friends, slingshotting on a roundabout has saved me 15 minutes of traffic waiting time. No one goes all the way around. They just queue for their turn. It annoys people, but it's what's best for traffic flow. Story 47. Holding a metal object in front of cars that drive too close when you cross the road to prevent them from getting closer. Story 48. The religious right to perform actions that should be illegal, such as circumcision. Edit. I restored my foreskin and it helped significantly. Feels like I was meant to have a foreskin. Story 49. One loophole that is completely legal but feels questionable is using a dynasty trust to pass wealth to your grandchildren tax-free, allowing you to avoid estate taxes in a way that seems too good to be true. Story 50. I work near a store and forgot to wear my all-black uniform, so I bought a black dress there, wore it all day at work, and returned it after work because I needed the money. Story 51. I received the COVID vaccine a couple of months early because I am on the spectrum, and I was able to have my sister and brother-in-law get it early as my caretakers. I left my hair unbrushed, wore a Minecraft t-shirt and a pair of headphones, and didn't make eye contact with anyone to really sell it. Honestly, it was quite relaxing. If there had been great demand for the vaccine or a shortage in my state, I never would have done it. But since I wasn't taking anything from someone who needed it more than I did, I figured, why not? Story 52. One time I wished harm on someone's daughter, but I said I hope she gets cancer, legally. Since you can't actually give someone cancer, it doesn't count as a death threat. Yes, I know I'm not the best person, but so was the girl's mother. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.